July 17th, 2004. Life couldn't have been better for Ryan and Haley Dennison. Their marriage culminated a courtship that began their second year at West Point.
We had the same class together, and he was pretty dreamy across class. And my friend actually encouraged him to ask me to ballroom dance lessons.
They would become what one friend at the Academy called a Hollywood couple. The fairy tale continued during their Mediterranean honeymoon. But with wars raging on two fronts, both were soon preparing for combat deployments. Haley to Afghanistan, Ryan to Iraq with a famed 82nd Airborne Division.
I'm sure you were just concerned about him along the way.
I was, and at the time, that was the height of the surge over in Iraq.
Haley's fears became reality less than 3 months into Ryan's deployment. Her commanding officer brought her the news at their forward operating base in Afghanistan.
I came in and he's seated, and there was a box of Kleenex, and the chaplain's in there. And he sat me down. He said, just, openly, directly, Ryan's been killed in combat. He said that he'd been killed by small arms fire.
Haley prepared to head home immediately, but she was in such a remote part of Afghanistan and the weather so bad that it took her 10 days to make it back to the States for Ryan's funeral. She went from being a soldier to a grieving widow.
Just seeing him underneath the flag, it was very surreal that I couldn't believe this was happening.
Captain Ryan Dennison was laid to rest with full military honors at Arlington National Cemetery, November 29, 2006. Haley discovered the last entry in a journal that Ryan had kept in the weeks leading up to his deployment.
I'm so thankful that God has blessed me with so much. If catastrophe strikes in Iraq, I will still feel so very blessed because I have lived the equivalent of 4 men's lives in my short 24 years on this planet. I owe it all to God, my Father. He blessed me with the wonderful friends, family, parents to adopt me, and most of all with my beautiful wife, my companion, my very best friend.
The Army gave Haley the option of staying home. But in 2 short months, she headed back to Afghanistan, put on a brave face, and completed her deployment.
I thought it was important to show my soldiers and others, and even myself, to be honest, that when you get knocked down, how are you going to respond? Do you get back up and continue? God still had a purpose for me.
And Haley performed so well that she was selected to serve on General David Petraeus' staff in Iraq. By the time her second combat tour ended, she had been promoted to captain and earned numerous awards, including 2 Bronze Stars. But God's purposes for Haley extended beyond advancing her military career to healing the wounds of loss. During her tour in Iraq, an infantry captain named Dave Outlaut approached Haley during a chance meeting more than 2 years after Ryan's death. Dave had known Ryan from their days at West Point.
He recognized my name, and he had heard of Ryan's death, and he came up to me and he said, I'm so sorry to hear about Ryan. How are you doing? Kind of a thing.
Their relationship began as purely professional, but a friendship developed and they found themselves praying for each other in the war zone.
What attracted you to Haley? Was it an immediate attraction for you?
I certainly thought she was beautiful, and but I certainly wasn't trying to cross that line initially.
It was really difficult to even allow myself to think like that again.
Particularly with another soldier?
Yeah, with another soldier who was just, that I was just praying with not too long ago for being, in direct conflict and receiving, being shot at every day. But I think God placed him in my life at that time for a reason.
And that reason became clear when they discovered they had fallen in love. Before long, they were introducing each other to family and friends. They also received the full blessing of Ryan's parents. And on May 24, 2009, Dave and Haley were married.
God has put these feelings in my heart, and everything about our relationship from the time that we started until now has felt right, and that we're good for each other. She understands a lot of things that I've been through. I try to understand a lot of things that she's been through as well.
They now have 2 sons, and Haley is out of the Army serving as a full-time wife and mom. But Ryan's memory is never far away. She and Dave honor him with pictures in their home, and Haley helps raise money for a scholarship in his memory.
Looking back, 15 years, if this, I wouldn't change anything. I definitely wouldn't change God's will, because I think that's what's played out here, and it's definitely been hard, but it's also been beautiful. I wouldn't change the time that I had with Ryan. I cherish it, and I cherish the memories, but I also, am happy with, my life now.